Let's talk about our second option, what's called the Robo-Advisor. So Robo-Advisors are exactly what they sound like. Advisors that are robots, but they're not robots. It's using technology to make investing decisions for you. So these platforms include places like Betterment, Wealthfront, Wealthsimple, E-Trade. Robinhood has a version of a robo-advisor. So what's happening with these platforms is that an investor comes in and they answer some questions about their life, how old they are, their risk awareness or risk tolerance. And for most people that come in, especially most women, they're like, I don't want anything risky. What does that even mean? Which is a bad answer, by the way, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Or, what's the age you expect to retire? Where do you live? What are your goals? And then they're going to start choosing investments for you. The pros with these platforms, let's talk about that. The first biggest pro by far is that it's helping eliminate the overwhelm to get you started. Everything we were talking about that's a negative about the DIY platforms, right? The confusing interfaces and not knowing what the fuck you're doing. Robo-advising mostly solves that, right? It's getting you started. It is taking over for you to hopefully make, in theory, educated investing choices on behalf of you. These platforms use algorithms to manage your portfolio, your investing portfolio, based on what you've said you want. So that's the biggest pro to these platforms. If you're looking really to just get started, they can be a really great tool for you because they're hands-off. They're providing this structured investment plan with minimal effort. We'll talk about in-person financial advisors as our third option. But one of the pros of robo-advisors is that they're much cheaper than a financial advisor. Now, you don't get the person-to-person touch typically, but you're paying way less money, either in like a percentage fee or a retainer or an hourly rate. So we're looking at typically a 0.25% to 0.5% in fees. The pros of the robo-advisor. These are algorithms that are, in theory, providing smart investment choices on behalf of you. So it's helping eliminate that overwhelm, get you started. You're paying less in fees than you would to sit down with somebody as a financial advisor, right? And they're automated, so you don't have to worry about it. However, robo-advisors are also not the place I recommend. And here's why. The first con to robo-advisors is that there's very limited personalization here, right? Some of these robo-advising platforms, most of them, are making decisions about your hard-earned money based on your answer to 8 questions. They're managing your portfolio and its performance and your literal money based on the answers that you gave to questions you don't even understand. Yes, of course, you can answer your age, you can answer how much you make, but you probably can't answer what your risk tolerance is. For the average person, especially somebody who's young, your risk tolerance should actually be really high. The reason they're asking that question in the first place is to figure out how aggressive should your portfolio be? Like how much of your money should be in stocks compared to bonds, right? So if you say that your risk tolerance is high, which is in theory what you want to say, what I would say if I was in my 20s, that's a good thing, right? Okay, I am saying that I want the vast majority of my portfolio in stocks. That's what we want when we're younger so that we can allow the money to gain as much for us while we have more time. But the average woman getting asked what your risk tolerance is, you and I are both going to say, nothing. Nothing. I don't like risk. I want dependable outcomes. So we end up typically fucking ourselves over because no one has sat us down and actually told us what that question is really asking, which is, how okay were you with stocks compared to bonds with a potentially risky investment, but higher reward compared to the other? No one knows how to answer that question. And really the second con is tied to this as well, which is these platforms are fishing for you rather than teaching you to fish. The amount of people in our community, right? We have millions and millions and millions of women who I have taught how to invest, who I have taught how to pay off debt and save money. And I get this all the time. They'll come to me, they'll message me on Instagram in the DMs, they'll email us, and they'll go, you know what? I started with X platform, Betterment, E-Trade, whatever, a couple of years ago. And it was so great to get me started. But I have no idea why they're making the decisions they're making. I have no idea what any of this means still. I've been investing for 5 years, which is great, but I still can't define a stock. I don't know why they're choosing the things they're choosing. And I've handed my hard-earned money over to this platform and just trusted that it's going to work. And that's one of the issues, right? Is they are fishing for you rather than teaching you to fish. And that sounds good temporarily, right? That sounds good to get you started. And it kind of is, right? If you just want to get started, great. That's a great place to do it. However, I need you to understand these things. This is not something we can just completely opt out of, right? You can't just say this like robotic, algorithmic thing is going to handle my money for the next 40 years. I don't know. That feels bad. Like, I need you to know what's going on. I don't need you to know everything. I don't know everything. I'm the first to say I don't know everything about money. None of us do. But I need you to know enough to figure out if they're making the decisions that are right for you. And so that you can show up, whether it's a dinner party or a conversation with your dad, or just as you're managing your money as you age with some knowledge that you can speak to, right? Some understanding of what's going on. The final con with robo-advisors. It's a robo. It's an algorithm. There is nobody sitting down with you, typically, and having a conversation like you and I are having right now, right? Like, no one is giving you the advice. No one is helping counsel you. No one is helping with your emotions when Trump does something crazy stupid and the stock market underperforms. No one is educating you about how this works, and no one is helping manage the emotional side of the stock market, which frankly, people don't talk about enough. Everybody wants to talk about the gains and if your investments make money and the strategies to become a millionaire. And all of that's great. We've talked about it on the show before, but we've also talked about the emotions of money and how that has a way bigger impact on how successful you are at managing your money than if you've picked the right stock. But traditional finance, the traditional finance industry that has built these robo-advisors, that has built these DIY platforms, doesn't want to talk about the touchy-feely of it all. When in actuality, that is the biggest determining factor between whether you're a successful investor or not, whether you understand that this is a long game or not, whether you understand and manage those spikes of emotion when the stock market does go down or when it underperforms, or again, when someone in our government does something extraordinarily stupid that tanks the stock market. And that's what you're missing with the robo-advisor. It's what you're also missing with the DIY platforms typically. We've talked about investing a lot of times on the show, everything from retirement accounts to exactly how to pick your investments and more. We are doing a live free investing workshop all about the secrets of the stock market, how to overcome some of the narratives you've been believing that have kept you from investing or kept you from investing consistently. I don't want you to miss out on that. So go to the link down below. You can also go to herfirst100k.com/secrets. And if you're listening to this not on the Thursday it came out, we are probably doing this workshop very, very soon. We do it on a pretty regular basis. And you can also get the replay. So sign up anyway. It's free. There's no reason for you not to sign up. I would love to be able to teach you live or on that replay. So again, herfirst100k.com/secrets.